Welcome to MOOC on institutional assessment. There are lots of discussions these days on our academics, academic systems, educational policy, and whatnot. We discuss a lot about curricula, about the grading technique, about teaching, pedagogical aspects of teaching, faculty, and so on. But one thing quite often gets missed is the institutional administration and management aspects and governing principles. Education is a very wide canvas. It's starting from primary to university level, and our discussion will be primarily focused on an institute of higher learning, that too again, which are of national importance in many cases that will be applicable. The basic internal structure of such an institution can be presented as this diagram. The permanent academic community forms one component. Floating academic community, that is the students, form another component. Physical and administrative infrastructure, including the personnel, form the third component. And all of these at the center is the head of the institution, either the director or vice chancellor, as the case may be. Now, the relationship of this central position, director, we have to also consider what are its linkages. Now, the main linkages will be in cases where it is a government institution with the ministry, then ministry, and there will be always a board of governors. They will be related. Director will be directly functioning under the directive of the board of governors in major general issues, not day-to-day administration. Then director is directly at the head of the institute as the chief executive officer. And of course, director will have to also deal with the alumni and also in many cases the public. Now, for the publicly funded institutions, the financial support comes primarily from the corresponding ministry. Thus, the ministry sets some very basic objectives and norms, and in case of privately funded institutions, this role is played by the society. The board of governors, which normally is at the apex body, it has the role to oversee the functioning of an institution. It is also to be remembered that in many situations, the board of governors is an umbrella to protect the chief executive, maybe the director or the vice chancellor, depending on the type of institution, from different types of local and outside pressures. Now, to identify the basic administrative structure that may help in achieving academic excellence, it may be worthwhile to consider how an existing institution with academic reputation functions. So always an example, rather than talking on air, it is always better to take a concrete example. And in this particular situation or case, I would like to take up from my own personal experience an institute which, in my opinion, has the most modern and most flexible both academic and administrative structure. That is the institute where I have taught for almost 36 years, IIT Kanpur. Now, the administrative structure of IIT Kanpur, how it is. At the top is the visitor, that is the President of India, who is really the head of such institution, and that responsibility has been entrusted to the visitor or to the President of India by the Parliament Act. And of course, the corresponding ministry, MHRD, nowadays it is, of course, the name is changed. It is called Ministry of Education as before. So that is directly linked with the visitor. Visitor is at the head of the BOG, and BOG gives the basic general instruction for running an institution. And BOG has the finance committee, the building works committee, and director, who is also the chairman Senate. Now you can see that this diagram has two different colors. The green one represents the academic part, and the other part is the administrative part. Now you will realize here that as it happens in our general life, that the administrative structure and the judiciary, they are different. They don't mix and they run parallel. Here also in IIT Kanpur, it is exactly the same. The academic things are under the academic senate, which actually functions through its standing committees, both undergraduate committee, postgraduate committee, scholarship committee, educational policy committee, and disciplinary committee, so on. And these Senate committees are also having representation from the departments through their departmental committees, corresponding committees, departmental undergraduate committee, and so on. And so therefore, any academic matter which starts from the department goes to the departmental academic committee, to the Senate standing committees, and to the academic senate. It does not go through the head of the department or dean and so on. That is administrative structure. Head of the department is a member of the departmental academic committee. That's all. Similarly, the administrative side, the director is generally helped by a deputy director, which has account section, registrar, deans, student placements, all those things. And then departments and sections and various units, they function under this structure. And under these departments and sections or units are the faculty members and staff. And students and scholars, they are directly under the governance of the Dean of Students' Affairs, the Students' Gymkhana, and of course, the departmental committees. And Kanpur IIT has a very interesting thing. At every level, there is equal representation in these committees by the students and the faculty. Every committee, even the student disciplinary committee, even in the Senate committees, the number of students are adequate so that they are not just one or two. Including the educational policy committee, there also students have their representatives. So this is the general administrative structure for both academic administration and general administration at IIT Kanpur. Now, director has the direct responsibility with Institute Advisory Council, which constitutes all the heads of the departments, deans, registrar, deputy director, and some other functionaries, important functionaries like superintendent of Institute Works Department and so on. Then Building and Works Committee, which is a board subcommittee. Normally, director is the chairman of that. Then the Educational Policy Committee. In all other Senate standing committees, there is a separate chairman elected by the members. Only in the Educational Policy Committee, director, who is also the chairman Senate, he is the chairman of this subcommittee of Senate. Then Long Leave and Travel Committee and Faculty and Officer Recruitment. That all those who are actually board appointee, they are the chairman of the selection committee of such bodies or such persons is the director. Now, if you go into the a little more detail into the administrative system of IIT Kanpur, with the director come chairman, who is also the chairman of Dean's Council. There is a Dean's Council. Just as our Institute Advisory Council constitutes all the heads primarily, here in Dean's Council, which also constitutes all the deans. It depends how many deans a particular institute has. In case of Kanpur, it is, I think, now 6. So, Dean of Faculty Affairs. Now, Dean of Faculty Affairs has its own registry, headed by a person in the rank of Deputy Registrar, which contains all the personal files, everything related to faculty, starting from advertisement, recruitment, selection, then promotion, etc., up to retirement. So nothing goes to the registrar office or anything. Everything is in the Dean of Faculty Affairs office. Similarly, Dean of Research and Consultancy. All matters, including the appointment of project functionaries, the funding, etc., everything is controlled by the Dean of Research and Development. That office also is headed by a person in the rank of Deputy Registrar. Then you have the Dean of Academic Affairs, a very important position, because this controls all the examinations, curriculum implementation, convocation, then lecture hall maintenance, auditorium, etc., seminar complex, everything is done by the Dean there. And you have the Dean of Students' Affairs, That is, it controls the whole of floating academic population, the students, undergraduate, postgraduate, research scholars, everything. And of course, there is another dean to deal with the alumni and also to take care of the international affairs. These days, it is an extremely important position because as it happens in USA, in India also, particularly in some major IITs, the alumni take a major responsibility in funding some of the very special things. Then, of course, deputy director is needed because now institutes have become pretty large. They have to not only maintain so many things, academic program, etc., but they have to maintain a whole township. IIT Kharagpur covers an area of 21 or 2200 acres, and with given the road to be maintained runs almost to 90 kilometers within the campus. Their own water supply, electric supply, building works department, maintenance, security, banks, schools, marketing, everything, restaurant. It is such a huge affair. It is not possible just for the director to handle. So generally, deputy director is there to take care of many things. And many central facilities are there, which are not any particular department. They are also looked after by the deputy director, like computer center, institute works department, central library, health center, central workshop, guest house, and so on. Registrar looks after the staff establishment, staff recruitment, meeting section, legal cell, funds and pension, and estate management. And so this is the detail of how the administration of the whole institute is done. Deputy director also looks into the accounts and audit, which also is directly linked with the registrar. Now, the budgeting and financial administration is very important because generally faculty members are not very aware of government rules for funding or for handling public money. At the same time, the budgeting of a large institute is very important because for the whole financial year, the institute has to spend its money according to the budget which is sanctioned by the governing body and parliament. And such large institutes also has a separate account which is run by the Dean of Research and Consultancy. There all the budget money or your project money, then the overhead for consultancy, all the money which institute earns, that goes into a separate account called account 2, which has slightly different rules, which are somewhat more liberal than account 1, which is strictly government money. Then alumni also are now making a lot of donations, and they're giving substantial donations, which also go to account 2, and that is used for developing a corpus fund, which is absolutely essential because a large corpus fund provides certain degree of financial autonomy to institute. Without that, an institute cannot function with any degree of excellence. Now, what should be the appropriate character of a modern administration? In my perception, why I am telling this is that an efficient and modern administration to run a world-class academic institution in the 21st century should be based upon the following arrangements. Most important, in my opinion, is it should be a decentralized system. Now, a centralized system where everything has to go through one person or one office like registrar, it creates tremendous amount of bottlenecking and enormous delay in decision making and functioning. So, as we have in our institute, which I served for 36 years, IIT Kanpur, completely decentralized. That is the most fundamental requirement for administration. Then authority should be delegated appropriately and adequately in its true sense. It is not just for the sake of saying that head has the authority. No, head's decision or a dean's decision, that should be the final, unless there is a very special case where the director has to sit with the particular functionary and decide whether the decision needs to be changed or not. Now, the authority should be associated with responsibility and accountability. Nowadays, what happens, the head of the department takes something comes, he sends it to the higher up, and then he also again sends to the director. Ultimately, everything goes to the director and buck stops there. That is not right. And so if the head is given a responsibility or authority, he should know that he has to discharge that authority with a full degree of responsibility. He should not have hidden agenda, personal axe to grind, or certain kinds of bias. That is not appropriate. Then proper and timely recognition of merit is something which is very, I would say, dissatisfactory in our institutions. Everybody is treated at par, and everybody has to go through a certain number of services, then they get the promotion. And really, there is no appreciation of merit in most cases. And that is a sure way of destroying any degree of excellence. But whether the institute is running properly, to get a feel for that, the pulse of the institute, the director or the vice chancellor can have only if he personally visits regularly, unofficially, the various sections without prior announcement or anything like that. That's a personal relationship he develops with the student body, teaching body, and the staff members. Rules should be remembered, to be, that rules have to help in work, not to obstruct. But I think we should change that philosophy, we should change that attitude. Rules should be always to interpreted to the advantage of the incumbent. Administration should be based upon principle of trust and faith. There should not be any hidden agenda by any decision-making authority. It should be clear in decision-making, and it should be possible to show it to everybody that why that decision has been taken, and it should be purely transparent. Now, the chair of the director is also, we should remember, it should be treated with respect and trust. The leader, that is the director or vice chancellor, must be in love with the institution. He should not be attached to the chair, and he should also not feel obliged to the appointing authority. Now, the head should only concern should be welfare of the institution and the community, and all his time he should be for the welfare of the institution. In an academic institution, it is essential that the leader enjoys academic reputation and respect. It is a requirement, I think, which is generally accepted, but not always strictly followed. It helps. Now, she or he should also have a golden heart. He should love everybody, every person. Even when he is giving punishment, he should remember that he is doing it just for the best of the institute. So he should have a golden heart, but run the institute with an iron hand when necessary. Thank you very much.